Hello and welcome to Field Mixologist, the place thingy where we either never give up or we are just too stubborn to admit defeat. Case in point, this Scintilla Vertex Magneto that I've been doing in the channel way back, and unfortunately I can never get it to run right. I mean, I did get it to spark, but it was a very faint spark, and there is some issues with the armature as well. So I did what any reasonable cogent person does, which is go on and buy another one. Yes. So what I'm going to try and do, though, but there is it's not just madness. There is a little bit of method to the madness, in the sense that on this unit here I have got a brand new coil, that I've sent to Ireland to be rewound. So therefore a guy thought, okay, can I not get this coil into this unit that is in actually much better shape than the previous one, and not make a kind of 2-for-1 offer, so to speak. So this is going to be the subject of this video. Obviously I'm started recording it now, but this will probably take weeks to do because I've got a fair few things to do. But the first, I'm going to start with what I've done so far. So I've got my multimeter, and I checked that, yeah, indeed we've got a problem with the coil, and that's probably why this mag isn't sparking. So I knew that already. But there's one crucial bit with this Magnetos, which is they have got like a place where they can get locked if you put a pin in this position here. Now that is very important. Why? Because what I need to do is with this pin here, I need to obtain the reference point for this cam. And this reference point is really important when I assemble the Magneto back and I try to time it again, and that's going to become super crucial. So therefore that's the first thing that I did. I kind of established this position. I took some pictures of it. That's quite important. Always kind of, if you have a mobile phone or camera or that kind of stuff, always take pictures of the unit so you can see, how the unit is actually assembled. Obviously I've got some things I've got like a separate condenser on this one, so I'm gonna have to try and see how do I kind of fit this in around this unit. But other than that, I think we are ready to start the disassembly process. So it's time for some updates on where we're at with the project. I've been doing a lot of work, but not work that you can see yet the final product, because some of it is like halfway. For example, this I'm painting the base of the mag, and it is a long process because you have to do 2 coats primer, 1 coat color, leave it for 24 hours to cure, and for that afterwards you need to put a clear coat. Ask me why. I know it's important to put the clear coat, so then I can put the base of the mag, which isn't reasonably good nick, but all of this is a process. However, there are a few other things that are making some progress. For example, the HT lead. I'm going to replace the HT lead. I didn't know whether the one that was there worked or not, but I might as well just put a new one on now that I'm here. It's those little details that make a difference. Then I'll show you some other bits and bobs here. So as you can see, the armature, I kind of used a polish that's made specifically for Bakelite, so it's looking better. I might have to give a couple of rounds more polish. Obviously I polished the bronze at the bottom of the base, and crucially also I took all the rust from the magnet. I hope you can see it there. This is very important for a Magneto to work well. It needs to be absolutely free of rust. Then the other thing that I did is I got my brand new coil that I had from my other project, and I replaced it onto the breaker plate of this one with all the insulators kind of properly in place, which is important as well when you build a Magneto. So now the next phase that I need to do is I need to work with this with the advanced plates that are completely, well, they are quite locked up. So I'll show you how that's done in a moment. So as you can see now, I'm in a slightly different environment to my normal kind of working space. This job I'm going to do now is quite delicate in the sense that you will see it in I'm going to put a timeline probably around here. So what needs to happen now is I need to take every single component out of here. So this is made up of a succession of cams and plates, which you're going to see a shape of. And what I need to do is I need to clean each one of them individually and then put it back on in the exact orientation that they came. This is quite important because if you put them the wrong way around, the advance of the Magneto is not going to work. So therefore that is why this job requires quite a lengthy area, because you're gonna see that I'm taking parts off, putting them in the orientation, cleaning them, and then I'm gonna reassemble it. And the reason I'm doing this, as I said in the previous segment, is because these cams are they're not moving freely, and I'll show you at the end of this segment how they are supposed to sound, because this, when you shake it, it's meant to sound like a maraca. I know that sounds weird, but that's how it's meant to sound if it's working properly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking this apart, cleaning every single piece, and then put it back on in the exact order that they came out. So as you can see now, I've cleaned every single plate, everything. I put a little bit of kind of WD-40, a light oil to coat them, and now here's what I meant about the sound. That's the sort of sound it needs to have. Hopefully you've heard that, because that means that all of the bits in here move freely, and if they move freely means that the advance in the Magneto's got to work well. So now this is done. I need to carry on, doing other bits and bobs in the hope that I can get this done relatively soon. So the process continues. Okay, so now as you can see, I'm getting ready now to start buttoning up this unit. So the first thing is that I've got the rotor assembly done, and on here what's important is, as you can see, that it turns over freely and it doesn't bind, because that wouldn't work. And one thing I need to do before I go any further is that the reason I'm doing this project, and the reason this project is viable for me, is because I have got, as you can see here, an entire Magneto for parts, yeah, that I built before. This one didn't quite work out because there is a problem here in binding and also in the contacts, but I've got two Magnetos that are of the same model, and this allows me to be able to find any parts that I got to get the two into one. Because what happens, don't try to go on the interwebs and get the first kind of dodgy mag that comes across, because obtaining parts for this project, if I didn't have the new coil and the other mag, would have been, some of the parts are just literally impossible to obtain, and parts that you can get rewound, for example the coil, this is a 3-week turnaround job at least. So therefore it's not exactly the easiest of jobs to be able to build a Magneto if you haven't got the parts. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start kind of buttoning this up, and hopefully coming into land. And then what I'm going to do after I finish it, we need to start the testing process of the unit. So all of that is still to come. Okay, so obviously we've been moving ahead with the project, and after, let's say, quite a bit of finagling, dare I say, I've got the unit now ready to start the testing process. And the testing process comes essentially in two ways. So I'll first show you all the bits that I've done with the unit. So let's get this closer. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the condenser, I've got this strip for the stop here, the condenser is hooked up here. I put a brand new rotor in there. This is lubricated, you can see a little bit of the old grease in there. The points were absolutely fine, so just left them well alone. You need to do that. And as you can see, I've got a very long HD lead here. Now there's a reason. The reason for that is because I'm going to use it for testing first to make sure it works fine, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it to size with the cap. But I don't want to cut it now and then realize that it doesn't fit. So always cut last. So the rotor, well, as I said, the rotor is brand new, so that should be okay. So let's see if we can test this Maggie out now. Okay, so that was basically, now I know that it is sparking, and I was literally turning it by hand, possibly, I don't know, 50, 60 revolutions a minute or something like that, something really slow. And that's the thing with mags. Mags need to spark kind of right from the off, just turning it by hand a little bit, and if you get a spark that's right, you can't test them really at slow speed with a drill or that kind of stuff. You can't do that because it's not going to work. Because obviously if it doesn't work turning it by hand, and if you don't see a spark by hand, then it's really not right. So I think this unit is, we're getting there. Now what I need to do is I need to cut the HT lead, put the cap, and test it with sparks, with spark plugs, to see if it jumps the gap. Okay, so this is going to bring us to the end of this episode. Now, so what I did after that off camera, I went and I tested every single lead separately to see if the spark jumped. Why? Because what I needed to do is I needed to make sure that the rotor was in the right position when the distributor sparked. So I needed to check that to make sure that we were good, and we are good. So I'm glad to report that this is now a functioning magneto. Now there is 3 reflections I want to make before I close this video. I say thank you for watching and all that business. Now one very important thing is the importance of manuals. Well, this is for the new type mags. The principles discussed here are still valid for this ones as well, so it's very important to have that. The other thing, really important, is to have pictures. As I was disassembling this unit, I was taking pictures constantly of how everything kind of came apart. That allowed me to reassemble the unit in exactly the same position, and obviously that has a lot of impact on, you know, how things work or not work, and in this case it does. And the third thing I want to say is about hoarding parts. So for example, this came on the back of this other project that I tried to do and it didn't quite work. However, I turned that around into a positive because I had lots of spare parts for all these mags, and I had all the HD leads already cut, and I had the coil. So therefore that meant that this project went by much quicker than this one. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep absolutely everything of this. Why? Because it's still you know, a great source of spare parts, and you should be doing the same, especially in this day and age where it's so hard to get spare parts. So I wanted to say thank you for watching this video so far, and I'll see you in the next episode.